And they're like, oh, but I could go make more money over here. And so they go to another company, but now they don't have any mentorship. They don't have any technology. They don't have anything, but they didn't realize what they had because they haven't had the suck yet. So you go into that engineering suck and then you realize this is what I should have done. And it makes you appreciate what you have because you've experienced the suck. So
embrace the suck.
Yeah.
Embrace the suck.
Yeah.
Hey everyone, it's Chris and Leslie, and we got Robert here with us, Robert Feeney, and he's our next guest on our podcast that we don't have a name for. So it's still the podcast that has no name podcast, but we have some ideas, and we would love to get your input because you might come out with a better name than us. I don't know.
We were working on some just before we got on mic here.
You were.
Yeah.
It's great to work on a new brand idea with a bunch of founders of businesses.
Prairiepreneurs.
Okay. My brand guy said preneurs. He said you need to just, it's a buzzword. And he's like, he said citypreneurs.
So how about prairiepreneurs?
Because of Kansas?
Yeah.
Prairie?
Yeah. Oh. Like we're trying, my mission is to make this into Silicon Prairie.
Buzzword.
Well, I've been a preneur for so dang long.
So,
you know.
So Jeremy, he's the guy that did my Mortgage Punk logo. Mm-hmm. And that dude is cool as heck. Like if there is an epitome of cool, it's Jeremy. The dude was a drummer, full-time salary, on tour.
That's what
he is
BJ
cool,
just used.
And he comes up with cool crap, or poop stuff. My logo. I just called my own logo and
Welcome
ran
to the
crap.
podcast.
Heck, you know.
Welcome. All right.
So, someone gave me a joke and they just said, where? How does the joke go? He goes, what is where? Oh no, that's a terrible way to start a joke. He says, where do you go if you say gosh darn?
Leave it to Beaver?
No, you go to heck.
You go to heck.
Right?
Oh,
that is the epitome of Chris right there.
That's right there.
It's like Derby, Chris's house. Like I had answers for this. So the people I've brought on have dropped the F-bomb within like the first 10 minutes. And Chris is down here with golly gee.
I counterbalance everything out. Be yourself. That's all we care about. What I like for you to talk about for now is we've kind of been rolling with who you are, where you grew up, who's Robert, kind of lead-in question. That's kind of been the main question. And Chris
always asks if you wore parachute pants.
Because you're 80s.
I did have my version of parachute pants. I thought I was too cool for parachute pants while I was wearing my own version of them.
What does that mean, your own version?
Well, there was, so in the very early 90s, like 1990 or so, is really when the parachute hit me in Los Angeles. And I was in show business, and I had this sort of like burlap version of the parachute pants. It didn't have like the paint splatters and all that stuff, right?
Did it have zippers?
No, I had my fanny pack that went diagonally over top.
Body glove.
Did you have a Vision streetwear fanny pack?
I don't think so.
One.
No, I had a custom leather one that I got when I was visiting Korea. I actually had it made. Because fanny packs were so big that was a major accessory. But you couldn't wear it in the front. You had to wear it side, like you were a gunslinger or something. You could just whip out your ID, at any moment. Oh my God. It was pretty. I'm
sorry
great.
For everyone watching that is not an '80s child and just
you'll have to Google the reference.
I know they have to poke out their mind's eye now. They're like, I can't picture this.
That is fascinating. So, how many siblings do you have? What was your family like? What was your upbringing like?
There were 5 of us. I say were because I actually lost 2 brothers to suicide.
Oh wow!
So there were 3 Feeney boys. I have an older brother and a younger brother, Tommy and Michael. Both of them took their life at 21 years old, or 21 and 22, respectively. So I went into my adult life, I kind of with an obsession. Yeah, it really was like an obsession. I just didn't know it back then. For how do you help people take on behaviors that make their life work, regardless of how they're wired or regardless of their circumstances? And it took me till many, many years later when I built the software that I have now that I realized I'd been pursuing this all that time.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Well, that's actually what took me up to Hollywood too. Because up in Hollywood, you have a chance to tell stories. Right?
I was literally thinking about this in the shower this morning. I was thinking about the market we're in and the economy we're in. And I was just reminding myself about how some of the best companies, the best people, lots of success stories come from total dark darkness.
They do. And if you can get to the point where you can be with trauma or you can be with some tragedy that's happened, it will come out of you in some way. Like you will start out picturing it into a product or a business or a community or something like that. It certainly has been that way for me.
I'm so sorry to hear that, Robert.
Thank you for saying it.
Very sad. That's a really tragic, but look at what's come.
Well, you know what has really come of it? It was becoming really aware of how it was leading a lot of my thought processes and a lot of my desires. It was my business partner, whom you know, BW Barkley, that when he invited me to come out to Wichita, he said, dude, this is a very entrepreneurial environment out here. And he had been living in New York City for many years, but came back because he got married. They were going to have a child. It was pandemic. It was a terrible place to have a child in the middle of Manhattan, New York at the time.
Yeah, it was shut down.
Right?
Well, both states.
It was insane. And there was no precedence to it. So he says, I'm coming back here, and he's got his parents here. So, there's a support system. And he calls me up and he says, why don't you come out here to Wichita? And I was,
how did you know BW to begin with?
Oh,
where did you guys even?
No, he left Wichita to come seek his fortune in Hollywood. So that was.
I don't know that. I know BW. We went to high school together, but we lost touch. We kind of have one of those typical graduation stories where you don't see 90% of your class for a long time.
Well, he came out. He came out to Hollywood at 19 years old, and
I did not know that.
Yeah, and he was getting into the business. There was a kind of a very popular talent manager that I was working with at the time. Both of us saw BW. Who was known as Brent at the time, that's the B, and he kind of came into the fold in a way. So he and I both had this mutual mentor in Hollywood, kind of this old Hollywood guru.
We just talked about this on our last podcast. Mentorship and coaches.
Oh, it was brilliant, and I didn't know I was looking for it, but I would never have traded it out. I spent 15 years with this man, and his name was Pedro Dupuy. And he passed away in 2005. He was 83 when he died.
Wow.
And BW and I were both there. We actually had moved into a house in Glendale, which is Los Angeles area, with him to found this business. And the business that we founded together is what generated the software that we now have.
No kidding.
It prototyped it, and now we have it in a new business we formed 4 years ago.
So was this mentor in the Hollywood scene?
Yeah, he was.
Or was he more on the business side of Hollywood? And he was mentoring you for more of a business.
He was an entertainer originally, and then got onto the business side, which happens a lot. So he was a guy who was a director and choreographer. He knew that the whole Rat Pack, like in Vegas, he would put up shows for Sinatra and all those folks.
No kidding.
So his stories were amazing.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so when he met us, he loved taking young talent and helping them understand business. Because, you go in as an entertainer, you don't know anything from business. You don't care. You went into music theater, you're drinking beer, same idea. I go to Hollywood and I'm like, I just want to have fun. I want to enjoy myself. Yeah. And he's like, okay, show business is called this for a reason. No, he'd say it in his really thick Cuban accent. He would say, show business, I'm going to tell you. The thing, he call it the show business because it show me and I tell you. Business. I said, okay, what did that mean? He goes, show me and I pay you. Okay, you can pay. All right, great. So all you knowing is the showing. I got it showing how to do the paying. So okay, got it.
So you guys got business smarts from this Hollywood dude.
Right.
Who directed some pretty serious, famous people.
Yeah.
Right? And then how did you get from that to... Why do you want to do, why did you want to do this?
You said money.
Why?
That's true. What we were trying to do is figure out a way to bring funding in to get large scale programs and movies done. And so by creating what they call ancillary markets, it's one of the ways you can get people to pay for a project. The hardest part of Hollywood is just getting a project funded. Mm-hmm. So we were coming up with ideas, and BW is extremely inventive. And then I'm like a pit bull. If I get an idea, I just chomp down on it and I'll just keep going forever. Yeah, and we turned this in from being like a fun gamified advertising idea into a serious learning concept. It got brought into big, large scale companies like IBM and school systems now.
So it evolved.
Yeah, I mean,
you didn't just sit down and Ringorang.
No.
Let's go.
It was advertising.
Silicon Prairie, here we come.
Hollywood's run by advertising. So that was what had us think about it. Is like everything gets paid for. It used to get entirely paid for by advertising. So what is advertising? It's trying to get you to keep coming back to an idea over and over and over again. We just took that and over time and several pivots turned it into a serious learning mode where we matched advertising with learning. And for some weird reason, that's never been done before.
That's interesting. So obviously your company is a software-based company. So who is the engineer? Is it you and BW, or are you the business brains? And
we're the business brains.
You went and found the talent.
That's right.
And the engineer.
That's what we did. We surrounded ourselves. That's right. In fact, there's a group we've worked with for now 17 years that they're global as a software entity called Sigma Software. And they've been like family to us, where they've built this software over and over again with us. And I'm trying to get them to come here. So that's my next mission is to get Silicon Prairie.
So you partnered.
Yeah.
You partnered with another organization and company.
That's right.
That does the development.
Yeah. And this is my plug for them too. If anyone's, because this region has software development resources, but we need to keep infusing it with more power. And so you've got a company like Sigma that does things on a global standard. That's why I want to get them to headquarter North American operations here.
Interesting.
We'll see. You've heard it here first.
It's an inexpensive place to headquarter. I mean,
Right?
there's a lot of headquarters here for different companies.
Yeah. I think there's such a pitch for getting companies here. And there's certainly pitch for getting a California boy here. I get that a lot where people say, "Oh, that's a big change. You came over from California." But no, I'm having the time of my life.
How did we get Elon Musk to miss it by 2 states?
Yeah, right. Well, do you know where
Texas is bigger?
The concept of Silicon Prairie first was invented around Austin.
Yeah, Austin is definitely.
They started that idea some 25 years ago.
Hot, trending, growing like crazy.
Yeah,
place.
And now it is a hub for technology, and Elon saw that, right? So there's no reason that couldn't happen here, and it could happen within less than a decade. We wouldn't need 25 years. We could do this in a matter of a few years if we mobilize ourselves. And I've been trying to talk this up over the last year all the way up to the state level, and I get a lot of interest from it, but then getting people to activate and put their money into it is going to take a little bit more. So, we're on the path here.
Wow. So your idea evolved. Now, can you tell us what what is the biggest impact that your business makes? Like, what problem does it solve? What do people that are listening need to know about your business in like 3rd grade?
Yeah.
Very simple. This is just it. It's what we do.
For anybody to be ready to do what they want to do, like you've got a goal in life, or you want to be good at selling something, or you want to graduate from school and get into a career, whatever you want to get ready for, the only way to do it is to form habits.
And so your software is all designed
to form habits.
Habit formation.
So one of the primary place we put it in is workforce readiness. So if you want to get somebody, let's say who's a junior or a senior in high school, ready to go create a career for themselves instead of just winging it.
Right. There's a lot of college debt. I was at a college fair this week with my daughter.
Yeah. Okay.
And I about cried. Everybody's probably looking at that dad like,
well,
what a sucker.
and you get the degree, but they don't teach you how to
but people spend
monetize
money
it.
on, they spend money because they just don't know.
How do you know what you want to do at 18 years old?
They just navigate in the dark.
I still don't know what I want to do at 45.
Hey, listen, I have discovered some testing from another real estate agent that I work with. And he went to school to be an engineer, got an engineering degree, worked for Koch Industries, was miserable, went and took an aptitude test in Texas, by the way, and said that if he could go back in time, he would have taken that aptitude test first, would have never went to engineering in his degree path, and he would have come out happy as a real estate agent.
Yep.
That's what.
Maybe. Because sometimes it's like what we're talking trauma. You think about agents that start at one company and they might have all of the resources available and they still don't understand what they have. And they're like, oh, but I could go make more money over here. And so they go to another company, but now they don't have any mentorship. They don't have any technology. They don't have anything, but they didn't realize what they had because they haven't had the suck yet. So you go into that engineering suck and then you realize this is what I should have done. And it makes you appreciate what you have because you've experienced the suck. So
embrace the suck.
Yeah.
Embrace the suck.
Yeah.
Here we go.
You have to get pissed off for greatness.
That's how I get up at 4:00 in the morning now.
Embracing the suck.
Yeah, I just told myself
I'm going to leave that to you.
And now I just tell my kids everything they want in life will suck to get there. You want to be wealthy? It kind of sucks to get it. You got to be disciplined, and you know, it's not easy. You want to stay healthy?
It is easy. It's not
discipline.
digging a ditch. You know, it's not a difficult job. It's not a hard job. It's just something that's consistent. That's all it is.
But that's difficult for like half the world.
So
or
why?
More than half.
So why? Why do you think it's difficult?
Because they need to get your software and form new habits.
But I mean, why
And
do we
be
think it's
consistent.
difficult?
It's not.
Because it isn't.
Sucks.
But it sucks. So
Nobody
like,
wants
this is
to
really
embrace
interesting.
the suck.
It's
Embrace
not
the
this
suck.
instant gratification. And that's what people are so used to in this day and age with technology and everything. They want it to be gamified. They want to win. They want this instant response
I have the
to their
suck less
input.
mortgage process.
There you
the
go.
Suck less because it sucks, but less with me.
And people wouldn't know that unless they've had a bad experience
you can make
somewhere else.
sucky stuff fun, right? Might as well.
Yeah.
If it sucks,
I do. I mean,
we'll make some fun.
my
out
husband
of it
tells
along
me
the
that I
way, and
gamify my business,
Yeah.
and it's a lot like, okay, if I'm going to do this, we're going to see how this turns out.
We're all gamers.
and it's
We're
just
80s
studying
children.
it and watching what the reactions. So it's very similar.
Yep.
Minus the technology.
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
So you're working with businesses, and you told me here last week that you're really finding a niche within the education system.
Yes, because there's such a huge problem around the talent crisis. We've got 10 million jobs that need to be filled, 6 million people looking for them, and they're not even lined up.
Can't
very
match
well.
up. Right.
Yeah, exactly. So there's a huge issue that everyone's trying to solve. Most especially, so like here in town, WSU Tech's really going after that. USD 259, but every school in one form or another is trying to figure this out.
But your company someone cannot go out, or maybe they can. I don't know. You tell us. But I assume someone cannot go out to the app store on their iPhone and get Ringorang.
They can, but they need an invite code to get into a program.
Because it's an internal.
Yeah.
It's more of an internal system.
It's for a captive audience.
It's not a consumer-facing app.
Yeah, right. Well,
Right?
although there is we started that way as a consumer-facing app because it was an advertising app. And then the U.S. Department of Energy, of all places, got hold of us and, said to people like you and me, we have to pay our utility bill every month. So they sent it out to the public and said, here's how you can start new habits on how you use energy at home that'll save you money on your bills.
Interesting.
Right?
So you may be coming into contact with Robert's company.
Mm-hmm.
You just may not see it because it's more of an internal system.
It is,
And you're
most of
moving
the time,
information around.
That's right.
Right? You're
Yeah, like,
collecting information, moving it, disseminating it to quantify results that directly relate to habit formation.
That's right, and that impact some institutional results. So, like if the school is trying to make sure that it gets people completing the graduation and then actually moving into an effective career, those are metrics that are very hard to come by. The schools oftentimes aren't really incentivized to keep counting on that, especially after graduation when they lose them. So that's the gap that we're starting to fill, is help them stay engaged with people until they actually get fulfilling work. It's very powerful. And it takes, very much like what you were saying, Leslie, is that it's not hard, but it sucks. Why? Because we have an expectation. Like you said, there's instant gratification we're looking for. I did this keynote talk at a group called the International Society for Performance Improvement. They've been around for like 60 years. Like, what does it take to get a human to perform? And you know what it all comes down to? Expectation. What expectation do you set? And then you either fall short of it or you hit it. If you fall short of it, you say, I didn't perform.
So what you're saying is if you don't have a target in mind, or if you don't have a destination and you don't know what that destination is, you're never going to get there because you don't even know what the map looks like. You don't even know where you're going.
That's right, and it's even worse than that.
A lot of businesses are like that.
Every
people
business,
are like
one
that.
form or
The
another.
businesses are
Every
people.
human is like that.
Yeah.
Right? But here's the thing. What's so awful and makes things suck is that we all have expectations. We just don't usually articulate them. So like if you said your son or your daughter was at the college fair, you're saying?
Daughter.
So let's say your daughter wants to go to college and you say, well, do you care which college you go to? And let's just say, for example, she goes, I don't really care which one. That's not actually true. Because in her head, she has an expectation somewhere. She's just not articulating it. Yeah. And then what happens is if she falls short of the expectation she's not articulating, she's pissed off.
So your company and your software gets the expectation that's silent in someone's brain
Out
out
it
of
out.
their brain.
That's right.
On paper.
Yeah.
So we can see.
Speak to it.
Oh,
Yeah.
You want to go from Kansas to the Bay Area.
That's right.
Well, you can't get there very easily with a bike.
Yeah.
So where are you guys at? Real quick, just in wrapping up, where's your business now? Where's it going? Are you just trying to get more clients? Where are you going?
We are, and mostly it's around getting future ready out to schools around the country. So we ran some tests this last year with 3 different states, including here in Kansas, and it was really successful. So we want to now get this out to the rest of the country. And
What do you need in your business? You need more contacts. You need more schools.
Yeah.
You need more administrators, more superintendents.
No, it's more. Yeah, superintendents usually are the buyers, and
I would say parent push.
Okay, I know.
What do you mean? What's that?
I know a superintendent.
Well,
if you don't.
I'm just saying, if more parents were like, this would make our kids more successful, and they were going to the school board or to the superintendents or whatever, being like, hey, I would really like my kid to take these tests or surveys or whatever.
Great point.
So that we're not throwing money at engineering school, then possibly that would put it in front of other people if people were seeing it.
That's a really interesting idea. Yeah, if we can
Crowd-driven.
Yeah.
Robert, your leading out question for the podcast today, Leslie?
Well, he named several earlier, but typically our final question is, who else do you think that we should bring on here as other entrepreneurs in Wichita to highlight?
Oh, beautiful. So I would
We
say
already got Jake.
you got Jake. You got a new group that I'm actually very involved with because I'm married to one of them. So Megan Feeney, my wife, is involved with a group called Heart Studio. They do design and decoration. So they've Emma Schlittenhardt has done an amazing job of building up this company from nowhere and is becoming a great published success story.
I asked
around
Emma
town.
to be on next week, and
Did you?
she's going to be on vacation.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah.
we're after that.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, well, the director
that.
of decorate, of home decor, that's my wife Megan, and so they just came together. Heart Studio acquired her decor business.
Really?
Yeah,
Interesting.
yeah, and they've been kicking butt. And also Emma's husband, Jacob Schlittenhardt,
Yes.
is fabulous as an entrepreneur. And so
Okay.
he's someone worthy to talk to, and he's
We'll
been
get
in a
him.
lot of different areas of media, and so it's a worthy host.
They've
a
both
guest.
be to our mixers.
Yeah.
We have a business mixer on Wednesday, the third Wednesday
The month.
of the month
Yep. Got
over
it.
cocktails.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
All right.
Sounds
Man,
good.
I can't thank you enough, Robert. Like, Robert took this up at the spur of the moment. Didn't know me from Adam. I just knew BW. He called you, and boom.
Bam.
We got 2 players today. 2 A players. So,
Right on.
anyhow, any final comments?
No, I love that you guys are taking on podcasting just from winging it. I mean, like you're like, and you got the cameras up and everything. It's just great. The more that we can have a story that Wichita can relate to and that it makes Wichita think of its future, that's what I think is very powerful. And that's that's the story I want to be part of. So I figure if I've got the next 40 to 50 years to live here, I want to be a big part of building it.
Love it.
We agree.
Love it. That's what we're going to need. We need some new Pizza Huts, and we need some new Freddy's and some new Coke Industries in different industries.
Voila.
Right here in Pretty Prairie,
Silicon Prairie.
Kansas, Silicon Prairie. All right, thank you for tuning in to this episode of Prairiepreneurs. Maybe. Have a great day and embrace the suck. See ya.